Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, we're going to be continuing our series on Is This Spirit for You? In this video, we're going to be focusing on Dances Up Earthquake. Now, Dances is going to start with one presence and the highest number land with Dahan. That means it's going to be starting in the corner on any of your boards. I think board C is the only board where it doesn't start on a corner. Now, you get to start with 6 unique power cards. Now, that's different. Most spirits start with 4. I think some exceptions would be Finder. Many Minds has 5, but Dances has 6. The playstyle, very much about tempo and timing. You can play high cost powers extremely easily, but they won't take effect until later in the game. Faces a constant tension between solving problems now and carefully planning ahead for big turns in the future. Neglecting either one can be disastrous. The complexity is very high complex. This is the only spirit from the NI expansion that is a very high complex spirit, and it joins Starlight, Fractured, and Finder as the other very high complex spirits. Looking at the summary of powers, it is a very high offense. It has some control, some fear, some defense, and a lot of utility, and it uses a new token called Quake Tokens. Flipping the board over, we're going to look at the special rules because these are incredibly important to how this spirit functions. Now, the main mechanic from Dances Up Earthquake is called Begin a Dance of Decades. Whenever you would play a power card, you may instead pay any amount of energy onto that card to make it an impending card, setting it aside out of play for use on a future turn. You then have this other special rule, and it says when you gain energy from your presence tracks, you also gain 1 energy, well, I guess I should just say energy, whatever's listed here, on each power card made impend on the previous turn. If any impending now have energy on them at least equal to their cost, discard that energy and play them. Okay, so this is a lot of rules text. Let me explain what this means. So, every turn I may play cards. I can put cards into play like normal, or I can put them into impend. If I were to put a card in impend, it goes over here. And every turn when I would gain energy, it will tick up 1 energy. If the energy equals over here or exceeds, the card will come into play. This allows me to impend 0 cost cards like Inspire. I can now impend this card, and the following turn it'll come into play. And hopefully that makes sense. And I'm going to give some more examples about this later in the video. Looking at the growth options, you are a 1-1-1, and that means you're always placing presence on any of the growth options. Now, you do have this weird option on Reclaim where you can choose to not place presence. Your first growth option lets you place presence and Reclaim, and then instead of placing presence, you may choose to gain a major power without forgetting a card. Very, very interesting. This surprisingly comes up a lot more than you'd think. The second growth option lets you place a presence 1 range and gains a power card. And then the final growth option lets you place a presence far away, and then it allows you to add or subtract 1 energy on 2 cards in impend. It also lets you reclaim a card. Looking at the tracks, you end at 4 energy and 4 plays, and you have 2 +1 impend spots. So essentially, the spirit is able to play 6 cards a turn, up to 4 here, and at least 2 into impend. It then has a move presence, a gather a Dahan, a moon, fire, and earth, and then it has this extra 2 energy turn on impending cards, and that's kind of what I mentioned earlier here. You're going to start off gaining 1 energy a turn on cards in impend, but if you get to this point, that will increase to 2 energy a turn. One of the things that I love about Dances, and this is one of the spirits I also play tested, is there are so many different builds to play the spirit. You can go rushing bottom track. You can go rushing top track. You can go a mixed build. You can also go towards a skip reclaim build. So there's just so many different options, and every single spot on Dances matters, and that's what I love about it. Okay, looking at the 2 innates here, and then I'll cover the power cards after. This first innate, it's going to check the number of cards you have in Impend. Your second innate will check the number of cards you have in play. And that is extremely important. So, first innate, lands creak with tension. If you have at least one card in Impend, add a Quake token into one of your lands. Then, if you have this threshold, you then get defend 1 per impending card, max 3. If you have at least 3 cards in impend, you can add an extra Quake token. And if you have this threshold, you then get to have an additional defend 1 per impend, max 3. Now, all 4 of these lines of text can occur in different lands, or you can double up in lands, and you can kind of pick and choose how you'd like to do that. But once again, this is checking the number of cards you have in play, or not in play, in impend. Looking at Earth Shudders, Buildings Fall, this is going to first be used in a land with Quake token. It's going to then check the number of cards you have in play. So you not only do you need the thresholds, but you also need 3 cards in play, or 5, or 7. Now the first threshold is going to do 2 damage per Quake token to buildings only. The second threshold will give you 1 fear, and then in any number of lands with Quake tokens, 2 damage per Quake tokens, and then you remove a Quake token per land. And then this final threshold gives you an extra 2 fear, and then in each land where Quake tokens were removed, 1 damage to each invader. So if you can do this massive earthquake here, you're going to just completely demolish your board if you have Quake tokens scattered throughout the board. So you can imagine the playstyle of the Spirit is going to be defending lands with the left innate, putting Quake tokens down, and then trying to hit this massive Quake to wipe out your board. In addition, you want to try to be able to flex majors as well, such that when they come into play, they're going to also trigger with these Quakes. It's important to point out the only way to remove Quake tokens is via this right innate and Fragments of Yesteryear. So once Quake tokens are placed on the board, it's going to be very, very challenging to get these things to be removed. I guess a Cast Down also gets rid of the Quake tokens if you threshold it. Okay, let's look at your uniques. Starting off with your 2/3 costs, we have Resounding Footfalls, Sow Dismay. It's a 3 energy fast fire, air, and earth card. 0 range, fast power. It adds a fear, adds a Quake token, and skips all Ravage actions. Skip cards are king, and Dances Up Earthquake has a skip card. So this is going to be critical to a lot of your games. You then have my favorite Dances card. It's a 3 energy sun, fire, earth plant. It's called Gift of Seismic Energy. Target any player. If you target yourself, you gain 3 energy. Otherwise, target spirit gains 1 energy per power card you have in play, max 6. Once again, it's counting the number of cards you have in play, not in impend. But this card is so much fun to use, to have it come out during one of your Quake turns, and then you just say, here's 6 energy, and then to see your friend's face when you just gave them 2 or 3 turns worth of energy is just priceless. Now you do have 1 2-cost card. It's called Radiating Tremors. It's a Moon, Fire, Earth card. It's a slow power, 0 range. 2 damage in the land, and then it lets you push any number of Quake tokens, dividing them as evenly as possible between adjacent lands. So this card, if you have a bunch of Quake tokens, let's say built up in a land, you could then do the 2 damage here and then push those Quake tokens to adjacent lands if you so choose with that Radiating Tremors. You then have 2 1 costs. You have Exaltation of Echoed Footsteps. I guess it's just Echoed Steps. It's a 1 energy slow, moon, water, earth. Slow power targeting another player. Target spirit may push a presence, bringing up to an explorer, town, or Dahan. You also get to do the same. This card is actually very, very strong. Mainly because pushing a presence, remember, Incarnas count as presence. So this allows you to combo with those other Incarna spirits. Also, just moving a town or explorer could stop a build, so you can actually get pretty far ahead with this one card. Okay, rumblings portend a greater quake. It's a 1 energy fast sun, moon, air, earth, 1 range. If you have at least as many impending cards as power cards in play, 1 fear, add a quake, and then you get to move Dahan. So it's a fast Dahan movement that lets you get more quake tokens on the board. And finally, inspire a winding dance is 0 cost, slow power, moon, water, earth, animal. Targets a land with invaders. Push an explorer or town. Gather a Dahan. So these are our 6 cards. Basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing cards in impend or into play, and then having those impend cards tick up, and then trying to hit these innates. And I'm just kind of going to go through what I'm talking about just to kind of showcase how the spirit plays, so that people kind of get a better grasp. So let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. Let's put a presence down. Okay. So starting explore would be sands. We explore and explore. I would then choose a growth option. Let's say I choose to gain a miner. I'm just going to pick a random card. I'm going to put this presence down on the board. I then have, now that I've gained my energy, everything in impend also gains energy. I then get 2 plays. I'm going to instead place 2 cards in impend. Boom and boom. And that is it. So now the invaders will build sands. They'll explore mountains. Like that. Now I get to choose my growth option. I can choose G3 if I want to tick these up. I can choose G2. I'm going to choose G2 again, getting another miner. I'm just going to grab a random card. I'm then going to place a presence. I'm going to put my presence here. Once I gain that energy, all of my impend cards gain an energy as well. So I'm getting 1 energy here, 1 energy here. This card now checks because I have enough energy equal to the cost, so it immediately gets put into play. I now have 2 card plays. I'm going to, let's say I put Resounding Footfalls in impend, and then I'll also put Primal in impend. And because I'm putting Resounding Footfalls, I can use this first special rule to pay energy such that this card can come into impend with energy. And I'm just going to put 1 on. I could put 2 if I would like, but I'm going to put 1 energy because I want it to come in line with my Gift of Seismic Energy. Now, as you can see, I have my 1 earth, so I'd be able to, let's say I actually put my presence here. So I have my 1 earth, so now I can put a quake token down. I then have 3 cards in impend, so then I would be able to get defend 3 in one of my lands, like that. And as you guys can see, I'll do 1 more turn. So let's say they ravage sands. Let's say that dies, that dies. That gets blocked. We'll build mountains. And explore would be jungle. My exaltation would trigger. Let's say I would move here, pushing that presence and moving that town. And time passes. So now let's say I use G3 here, just to show you guys just 1 more type. So I'm going to say I'm going to increase that, increase that. I then get to place a presence. Then I can reclaim a card, reclaim Exaltation of Footsteps, gaining my energy, as well as gaining 1 energy on all of these cards. There we go. So all of those come into play. I then have, let's put my presence down. We'll put my presence right here. I then have 2 card plays. So that means cards that can go right into play if I'd like, or I could put them in impend, and then I have 1 dedicated impend card. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw these 3 cards in impend here, like that. So I had my 2 card plays and 1 card into impend. I then would be able to trigger my innates here, so I'd have I'd be able to add 1 quake token. So I put the quake token. Oh, not that one. Put a quake token there. I then have Haunted by Primal Memories. Let's say I put defend 3 there, giving me a fear. Then I have my left innate still, so I can do another defend 3. Let's say I do it here again, whatever. Then I get to add another quake token. And then I have Resounding Footfalls. I can do 1 fear. Let's say I skip this action and add a Quake. And then I do Seismic. Let's say I give that out to a friend, giving them +3 energy. And then in slow, I'll be able to, because I have 3 cards in play, I'd be able to do 2 damage per Quake token I have. So maybe I would use that here, killing both of the towns. So hopefully this little walkthrough here kind of makes sense of how um, there's no strategy I'm showing here. I'm just kind of showing how the cards or how the spirit can play its cards. And okay, so the last thing is let's talk about what type of player is going to like this spirit. This is a spirit that rewards planning ahead. Um, it's not a proactive spirit. It's very defensive. It has a lot of combo potential. So this is going to reward people that like planning out their turns in several turns in advance, as well as communicating with the team, trying to set up those big kill zones. This is not a spirit for players that want to have high control, fast damage, stuff like that. This is more up someone's alley if they like slow moving defensive spirits that kind of basically have a very large turn, or maybe 1 or 2 large turns throughout the course of the game where they kind of just destroy everything and then win the game. If you like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I will see you guys in the next video.